How do you drop 20 kill games, 30 kill games, or even higher? Well, with today's video, I want to go over this 27 kill game that I got using the Kar 98 and the Mark 05 guns that have been in the meta for since their initial releases or individual releases, and will probably stay in the meta until this game ends in a few months when Modern Warfare 2 comes out. So with that being said, my very first point is going to be to use guns that are good. More importantly, in the meta. That means top 5 guns in the game. You're looking at your Armor for the SMGs, guns like the Mark 05, Kar 98 still good. Even though the snipers got the nerf, Kar 98 still good if you hit your headshots. Do not go around using an AX50, a Modern Warfare AK-47. Crick 6 is pretty bad right now. You've got to start using guns that are just at the top of the list. There's about 120 guns, if I'm not mistaken, in this game, and it can get, if you don't actually know what's going on, it can get a little bit jarring. You might just be picking random guns like the AX50 or the Scar H, if you still are. Now, if you're looking just to have fun, try out a bunch of different guns and everything, okay, cool. But if you haven't had your first 20 kill game yet, and that's what you're looking to do, you need to use top guns, top meta guns. And there's millions of videos out there, millions of loadout videos out there that you can search up and find the top gun to use today. For example, the guns that I'm using in this video, top meta guns, the Automaton Armor, top meta guns. There's so many guns that are good to use, and there's so many videos out there that can tell you that. Now, point number 2, if you want to drop high kill games, you have to start landing in more contested areas. That means you're landing prison, control center, living quarters, headquarters, things like that. And you have to be very specific on where you're landing. You always want to land in the same spot. So for me, I'm landing prison roof, I'm landing control center 3rd floor, I'm landing living quarters in the houses, or tents if I really have to. And you're doing this because there's so many more players that you can fight and kill when you're landing places like prison, control center, instead of landing bio or stronghold or security, whatever it's called. The places that you initially land can really make or break a 20 or 30 kill game. Now, this is a double-edged sword. If you land in a hot area, you can get more kills, but you can also die a lot faster. There's so many more people that can kill you now. Now, I got one question for you. Let me know if you get this right in the comments. Why, when I named these locations, was I so specific? It's because for all these locations, I already know, because I've landed here so many times, where the loot spots are, where the gun spawns are, where the crates are. So for example, if I land top prison, if I go to this corner right here, there's a gun that spawns there most of the time. Right in front of it, there's a crate that spawns there, and right in front of that, there's another gun spawn. And in front of that, there's another gun spawn. So if you keep landing in these same spots, you start to pick up and learn where the gun spawn, where the crates are, where the ammo is, and more importantly, you start to get a feel where the line of sights are in these locations. So lines of sight, let me give you an example. Let's look at top prison again. I land in this corner right here, somebody lands on the other corner. An average player would take the shot, maybe down him, cool. A good player would take the shot while making sure that he's behind cover, either here or here. An even better player would take the shot, make sure that he has cover here or here, and have cover on his side, blocking off the line of sight of anybody that could have landed on the right side of prison. You can only learn this if you've been killed by people on the right side of prison 30 million times like I have. I land prison all the time, so I know for a fact that people land on the right side, or people land in front of me. So I know to make sure to take cover on all sides around me. This is just something that you don't learn by landing security or bio or even chemical. These places aren't as likely to produce gunfights like control center, prison, living quarters, because players just don't land there. It's not the contested area. And you're probably saying, oh, well, if I land prison and I learn the lines of sight there, then I won't learn the lines of sight in bio, because I'm not landing there anymore. Well, eventually you're gonna be able to go to bio. You've probably landed bio or security plenty of times already, but you'll be able to go to bio and learn the lines of sight there, learn whatever you gotta learn. At the end of the day, it's way more important that you know what's going on in places like prison, control center, living quarters, places that are more centered in the map, places where you're gonna have a high likelihood of getting in a gunfight. If I learn all the jump spots and where all the gun spawns in bio or security or lines of sight and everything, it doesn't really matter, because I can only kill about one team that lands there with me. Maybe security, nobody lands there. One team usually goes there by themselves to like loot up for no reason. So those places don't really matter. You'll learn them, but Now, step 3, looting. So you finally landed. You landed in a contested area. There's plenty of people around you, and you landed on where you think a gun should be. Usually you land there, a good gun pops up, and you're cool, right? This time you land on an M19 for some reason. This is where a lot of average players make their biggest mistake. They take that M19 and they see somebody 20 meters away and they start shooting. For what? You don't have the proper gun to take on the fight, and you don't have a proper gun to take on the next fight. You need to go find an SMG. Your top priority after first landing is to get an SMG. If you land in contested areas, there's a high chance that you're going to be in a lot of close range gunfights, and if you don't have the proper tools to contest all the people around you, then you're most likely going to die. So your top priority after landing is finding an SMG, not an AR, not a sniper, not a pistol, an SMG. Once you find an SMG, then you're good to fight. If there's somebody like right next to you, then obviously you have to take the shot and fight, you know, so you don't die, and try not to die. But if you have the chance, back off and get an SMG, find some ammo and armor. Now, step 4, loadout. So if everything goes right, you and your team cleared out, for the most part, everybody that's around you, you guys get the money to get your loadout. Another mistake that a lot of teams make is kind of fighting over who's dropping the money, or, you know, taking too long to drop money, or everybody congregating at the buy station. Once you have the money to get your loadout, drop it, ping it, and let somebody pick it up, and you leave. You got to leave, get out of here, and go find somebody else to fight. If you're not comfortable leaving by yourself, either leave with a partner. If you're playing quads, leave with the partner, leave 2 guys back to get the loadout. Or if you're not comfortable leaving your team at all, at least get to the highest point of wherever you're at and start looking around. That means if I'm at prison, you're probably getting a loadout at grandma's, so I can get on top of prison and kind of look around, or I can get on top of grandma's, maybe top of headquarters. If I'm at control center, the buy station's at the bottom. We don't all need to be at the buy station. One of us could be at the top looking around if you're not comfortable leaving your team. There's a good chance that there's going to be other players around you at least 50 meters apart, because most of the map lands in this specific area, being a prison, control center, and living quarters. So 50 meters out, you're probably going to see somebody else. And at this point, if everybody's cleared out in your general vicinity, you should be able to find decent enough ground loot to beam anybody else that's around you. All right, now step 5, pacing. Not gonna lie, this is something that I struggled with too. You know, there's just some games mid-game rolls around and you can't find anybody. It's just, you're going left and right, just running in circles, like, man, where's everybody at? This is why you really have to get used to cycling through UAVs and just making sure that you're staying at the most contested areas and finding people to third partying. Even though you hate it when it happens to you, it's the best way to get kills easily. And we also have to be able to pick the right fights. For example, if I pop a UAV and I see 7 people in one location on the map, and I see 2 people in another location on the map, obviously we want to go to the spot that has 7 people to get more kills there. Now, if you're in bio and there's 2 people in decon and there's 7 people in grandma's, then obviously you have to take the fight at bio or at decon. But this is also why we try to stay and rotate in the more contested areas like prison, control center, living quarters. So we really don't have to kind of make our way out there and then make our way back. There's a lot of time wasted when you're running from location to location, and you can also get caught in the open running from bio to prison and then security up to living quarters. And also, picking the right fights might be not taking a fight. If I see a team that's camped up with claymores and bouncing betties and grandmas, or someplace that I can't really get to, then I'm just gonna keep it moving. There's no point in me taking that fight on. They'll eventually get pushed out and I'll be able to get them later, or they'll die somehow. But I'm not gonna risk dying and having to wait 30 to 45 seconds to get back into the game. There's a lot of time wasted. There's only 10 minutes in a rebirth game, guys. You have to really allocate your time wisely. Now, I want to give a bit of a disclaimer right here. If I see a full team in grandma's, there's so many ways to get into grandma's and get out of grandma's, so many jump spots that most people know. If you don't know, I can make a video about that. But that most people know that I'm probably taking the fight. It's not too hard to get a bunch of camping rats out of grandma's. On top of that, like I said before, if you see a ping of 7 people in one location, do not just go running in there with like a chicken with his head cut off, guys. You got to have a plan. You got to get a couple people out, like, before you get in there, you know, look through windows, you know, kind of you got to kind of finagle the situation. In every situation you're in, if it gets a little bit hairy, you got to find a way to, you know, maneuver around it. All right, so while we're talking about rotations, I'm gonna get into the last point that I'm making, which is rotations. Rotations more end game, but mid game I talked about those. Now, end game rotations, it's really going to be about positioning. Usually people don't talk about positioning in rebirth because it's such a small map and people say that you don't really need it, but positioning end game is so important. It's how you're going to win the game. And the very best advice that I can give you for positioning an end game is always be the first person in the last circle, or the first person in the circle. So that means when the circle gets smaller, let's say it shifts all the way over here, you're on the bottom side of it, you gotta get there first. Reason being is, if you wait till the very last second to start moving into circle, the circle starts to get smaller, which means that everybody else on the map starts to get closer. It's way easier to get from point A to point B without finding somebody if there's a bigger distance between you guys. You can't start rotating when everybody else starts rotating, because they're gonna see you guys. So remember, if you want to win endgame, rotate first. No matter what, you have to find a rotation and get there first. And guys, do not throw a game away. Do not be that player that thinks that just because he has 8 kills and it's around end game that you cannot drop a 20. I have dropped 10 plus kills in the last 3 circles ish, right? You can drop so many kills at end game just because people start to make mistakes and people start to get hungry, or people start to get nervous. It's very common for people to start to get nervous once it's time for them to start clutching up or trying to win the game, you know. So make sure that until the very end you play smart and you play hard. You never know how many kills you can drop until the game really ends. All right guys, that's it for this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button. If you are not subbed, make sure to hit that sub. And if you have any questions, make sure to drop them down in the comments below. I am happy to answer any questions that you have. Other than that, guys, I got nothing for you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Yo man, I appreciate you watching the whole video. If you want to keep supporting the channel and watch another one, I got you right here.